Hello, my name is Schleebs and or you can just call me Dan for short, and here I am going to begin my adventure to pursue my dream of creating a paper world and capturing all my interests in one place. So my dream is to capture all my interests in one place and create my world of paper where every piece of fiction that I like or have ever been interested in, I have captured in some way in a paper model, and all of that will just be there, like standing and interacting to create this world of paper, right? That's my dream. Anyway, welcome to my channel, The Paper Pirates. That's it, that's the name. There's this idea that I subscribe to that you should do the things that give you energy as opposed to the things that take energy away from you. And with One Piece, thinking about it, talking about it, reading it, watching it, drawing it, no matter what it is, I just love One Piece and I just get excited when One Piece is involved. So this would be my second channel about One Piece. I think I'll mostly focus on just chapter reviews because I do read the chapter week to week, and I think, like, especially with the chapter this week, 956, there's a lot of exciting things that I want to talk about, but that might not always be the case. Like, I don't really think One Piece is a story that should be reviewed or judged chapter by chapter. I know that's a part of the experience and it's designed to be that way, but I really think that volume by volume feels like, because it's such a long story, that's when you get the broad strokes of what everything is about and how all the different things fit together. I think it's volume by volume where you get an idea of how the story is going to be, and then maybe even only arc by arc where you should actually like review it and critique everything, because that's when the critique, like, I'm going to be critiquing One Piece. I'm not a critic and I'm not interested in being one. I just want to talk about something that I like. One Piece has been a really influential story in my life. I started watching the 4Kids dub when I was 10 and I loved it initially. It was the Arlong Pirates that got me into the stories, and I was 10 years old, so I didn't really care about the ridiculous censoring that the 4Kids dub did. And it was actually the Fishman Pirates that got me into One Piece, the Arlong Pirates, sorry. And I've been drawing since I was 6 or 7 years old, inspired by Dragon Ball Z. That was really what showed me what animation could be. But it was when I was around 10 or 11 years old that I saw characters like Kurobe and Arlong, and of course Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, Don Krieg. I liked Don Krieg, Crocodile, Ace, Smoker. These were my favorites. And as a 10-year-old, I liked playing with action figures, and you could go to a store and always find 100 Dragon Ball Z action figures or 100 Transforms, even Pokemon toys, but there were no real good One Piece toys, and there certainly were no action figures of the Fishmen or the Logia users like Crocodile, Ace, and Smoker, Eneru, and even if there was, they wouldn't have any special gimmicks or effects that could, they didn't have any special gimmicks or effects that represented their powers. So that was what inspired me to make my own toys out of paper. And if you don't know, I'm the paper model guy. My main channel is Paper Patriot, where I make toys or models out of paper. I think of it as bringing my drawings to life. It's not enough for me to just have a drawing be a static flat piece of paper that's unchanging. I try to capture that and turn it into a 3D model. Anyway, that's what that channel is about. And One Piece was the story that inspired me to make paper models in the first place. And I caught up to the manga around the end of 2012 when Punk Hazard was going on. Chapter 695, I think it was the first time I was reading One Piece weekly, and I had to wait week to week to read the story, and I've been reading it week to week. I don't think I've missed a week since the end of Punk Hazard at chapter 695 all the way now until Wano in chapter 956. So One Piece has been my favorite story, my favorite work of fiction, my favorite intellectual property. It's just my favorite thing. Animated, drawn, no matter what it is, whether it's reading it, talking about it, anything, it's my favorite thing. And it feels like with certain revelations in recent chapters, One Piece is entering its endgame. Now, I think its endgame is going to last like 250 to 300 chapters, but Oda, the author, said around the 600 chapter mark at the time skip, that was the halfway point. And so that means, and I think he's actually going to be consistent with that, judging by the rapid pace of events and how everything from the Reverie to Wano is building towards the end game. You know, there's no way that the conclusion of the Reverie and the conclusion of Wano isn't going to start this kind of chaos and this big, all world encompassing war that is going to just build and build and build and build towards the conclusion. And it really is the Reverie being at chapter 900 that's making me think this way. See, initially I thought it's kind of odd. You know, Sabo was there, and it's like, are the revolutionaries going to make their move at the Reverie? Because if they do, I always thought of that as like the Endgame things, you know, that big war that Oda spoke about that was going to make Marineford look small. Marineford, one of the biggest arc in the series, I would say, had the most characters. And I thought about it, and at that point in the story, Marineford had like nearly every single character in One Piece. Kaido and Big Mom were just names. Jack, Katakuri, Queen, they didn't exist yet. The Supernova were around, but a lot of the big characters in One Piece now, like Kinemon didn't exist, Caesar didn't exist, however, I don't know why I brought Caesar up. But like Marineford had all of the Marines, like every Marine character was there. We had all of the warlords, new characters like Ivankov, and we had all of the known emperors were there. We had Whitebeard and Whitebeard's entire crew, Shanks showing up at the end with his crew, and then Blackbeard having a very prominent role in the arc towards the end as well. So Marineford basically had every single character in One Piece involved in some way, except for perhaps the Supernova and then the Straw Hat crew. Point is, Marineford felt huge at the time because it basically had the entire cast that had been built up over 500 chapters there. You know, the entire cast that were built up to still play a role within the story, so not including previous arc villains like Arlong, Magellan, Eneru, etc. And Oda said that there's going to be a big war later that is going to make Marineford look small. And in the recent chapter last week, 955, at the conclusion of Wano Act 2, he said that that big war that was going to shake the entire world is going to start now. So that's why I'm starting this channel. That's why, like, this is the jumping on point. Because One Piece is such an influential part of my life, and because it's been going on for so long, you kind of just get stuck in the week-to-week process, and you think it's always going to be there. And one day, you know, One Piece, there isn't going to be new One Piece content. So I just want to capture my thoughts on the series as it's happening, because it's awesome. And I just want to be able to look back in 5 or 6 years' time when One Piece is nearing its end and just see what I thought about One Piece back then. So this week's chapter was 956. Big news. And I thought this chapter was great. I didn't expect it. Like, I should have expected in between, you know, with last week being the end of Wano Act 2, that this week would be like the kind of in-between chapter where we just go to the other places of the world and just kind of see what's happening outside of Luffy and the Straw Hats. And I think it's a real testament that chapters like this one are the fan favorite and the most exciting chapters. When we get a little bit more information about the world of One Piece and what else is going on, that's what's most interesting in the story. And that's a testament to the world building of One Piece and how it feels like that regardless of what the Straw Hats are doing, all these other characters have their own lives and their own stories that are going on in the background. And we are just looking through a little keyhole as to what's happening and getting snippets of their lives. Stuff like that is what makes the One Piece world feel like it's alive and feel so fleshed out. And this chapter, I said, it's a great example of that. Garp taking a cup of tea from King Neptune makes him feel more proper, doesn't it? I always thought of him as more of a coffee guy, you know, to go with his donuts, like a bitter, cynical cop type. Now this is interesting to me. Garp's dialogue indicates, like, what does he say? He questions how many kings would truly fight for their citizens in the betterment of other countries. So for Garp to raise that question, that's something that he values, right? And he said, you know, the round table is wasted on the current world leaders because they don't do that. And, you know, this was interesting to me because I always had Garp pegged as kind of just like a ruffian that doesn't care too much about politics or doesn't really have any ideals that he sticks to. So this is good. I mean, I guess he would have pretty strong ideals, right? Considering his son and grandson and their very obstinate views of the world. But clearly I was wrong about Garp. What a boss. So I really like the structure here. I was shocked when we went to the Reverie after Whole Cake Island. I didn't think the Reverie would be happening this early because, as I said, I believe that the events of the Reverie are really going to just spill over into this big final war of the story. And it definitely seems like that's the case, with us cutting away from the Reverie to begin Wano as soon as the Reverie begins. You know, that was disappointing at the time, but in retrospect, I think it works. Especially now, since between the acts of Wano, that's when we're getting information about what happened at the Reverie. And the Reverie itself is over. So I don't think anything within the 7-day duration of the Reverie was really that key. It's kind of just, since it seems like any kind of fighting or events that broke out with Sabo and the revolutionaries happened at the end of Wano. Shichibukai being taken down is absolutely going to throw out the balance of the world. And if Kaido or Big Mom or both go down by the end of Wano or whatever arc follows that, the world is going to be in chaos and everybody's just going to be fighting for power. And that started now. So that's just so exciting. Obviously, Big News Morgans. And I like this. It's just like the small little detail of the world government agent being there and threatening Big News Morgans to cover up the story. This kind of just makes me think, well, this is what's been happening for centuries, right? The world government has their little cypherpole agents spread throughout the world, making sure that they can cover up the dark side of their history and the questionable things they do in the name of justice. And then Big News Morgans just punches him out. I didn't expect that, but I guess they can't hide the news forever. A death, an assassination attempt, and the results of the conference. So these are the three big things that Big News Morgans was talking about. And I'm pretty sure the results of the conference is what we saw at the end with the Shichibukai system being abolished. The death and the assassination attempt. The way the chapter is structured is it really seems to be implying that Sabo has died. But I don't think that's the case. I think that's a misdirect. Because I don't think it serves the narrative for Sabo to die. My problem with Sabo is already that he kind of just feels like a replacement Ace with the Maranomi, and the appeal of him kind of just coming from the fact that he reminds us of Ace and he's like Luffy's big brother. So if Sabo was to die or get captured, then that's just repeating the same events of Marineford with Ace. So what I think, something happened with Alabasta, and then Shirahoshi remarks Vivi-sama. So maybe the assassination attempt was on Vivi, and Sabo, I hope Oda does something different with Sabo. I hope Sabo kind of turns, maybe Sabo is like a secret world noble government agent or something. I don't really want to speculate, we'll see, but so this is one of those ones, man, where it's like, we're not going to find out what happened with Sabo for like 30 chapters, 50 chapters, maybe not until the end of Wano Act 3. And it's just like, in the short term, right now, I want to know, but I know in like 100 chapters time, when I look back, I have faith that it's going to piece together nicely. And just like we kind of held off on finding out what happened at the Reverie, Oda withholding the information as to what happened with Sabo I think it's going to benefit the story long term. But God, I just want to know right now. So happy to see Doflamingo again. He's my second favorite character. So I guess Suru gave him that newspaper subscription. That's pretty lucky for him. And he hasn't been assassinated yet, so that's a plus. I do find it interesting that Oda keeps showing Dofi. Dofi got a very significant amount of story time focused on him. I almost expected him to just sort of exit the story after Dressrosa. But he's still here. Maybe he'll still do stuff. That'd be good. So the key point is here, Dragon is still at his base and Blackbeard is only now making the move. So we didn't really miss out on any big stuff at the Reverie other than Sabo, because Blackbeard and Dragon are still kind of just waiting, just chilling. Oh, I like this. I like Drake still being a Marine. It makes sense a lot. He was already a Marine, so him still being an undercover Marine is exciting, because I like the supernovas all being different and all having different things. And I initially thought Drake was just a part of the Kaido Alliance and he was going to overthrow the Beast Pirates. He was going to sort of betray the Beast Pirates to help out the Straw Hats. And, it just seemed too obvious, so it wasn't interesting or exciting. But he's still going to betray the Beast Pirates, but not to help Luffy. So there's going to be the third force, the third there's so many different factions in this big upcoming Wano battle. So there's Kaido, the Beast Pirates, then there's the Big Mom Pirates. I know they're allied, but I don't think that's going to last for that long. And I think one way that both the emperors could be taken out is if they weaken each other by fighting each other. Because I think Luffy will take out Kaido, but it definitely won't be by himself. Like, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit into the story thematically. You know, the thing that separates Luffy as a character from his foes a lot of the time is that he has the support of his crew and he does it together, as opposed to the villains that just kind of fight for themselves. That's why Luffy gets that extra strength, and because he has the stronger will to win, and his will is propelled forward by the support of his crew. And that's usually the thing that separates Luffy from, say, Big Mom, from Katakuri, who was weighed down by his ties to his family, from Rob Lucci, that just fought for himself. Eneru was by himself. Crocodile was by himself, ready to betray anyone and everyone. Yeah. Hancock's line here is just badass. It's like, don't panic. I hope they haven't forgotten that the reason we became warlords was because of how powerful we are. Yeah, how powerful is Hancock? She looked really good in One Piece Stampede. She had like this blitz up the Douglas Bullet Tower. I'm actually more excited to see more from Hancock and her fight because she has more at stake. And I think Mihawk, we're still gonna see a lot of Mihawk action towards the end of the series when he fights Zoro, right? If that's still gonna happen, might not happen that way. I don't know. I don't know what's gonna go on. It's so exciting. Basically, what I've been feeling like with One Piece the last 100 chapters or so is any idea I have of how the story is gonna go is nowhere near as good as what actually happens and what Oda's ideas are. Oh man, this was an exciting time. This was an exciting piece in One Piece history. 956, man, what a chapter. So that's it. That's been my first One Piece video. I know it was a long one, but like I had like 10 years of One Piece that I wanted to just talk about. Thanks for watching if you did. Don't really know how many people watched it because it's a new channel. This is exciting, like starting from beginning again. Well, I will see you next time, and I appreciate your time as always. And bye.